Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Slim pickings today. Um, I got nothing but two video clips that Um, this one's going to be at least a little bit funny in the beginning, both of them. And then after that, I don't have anything. And then I don't have anything for my other channel. I got a video to put up there on Monday, so maybe this is it. I've, I've run out of ideas here, I guess, until the next big crisis. And so Don Lemons went into court today in Minneapolis. Today is Saturday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. And tomorrow is the day this video will be put up, tomorrow night. And then I'll take off Monday, and then we'll be back here on Tuesday. I had kind of good turnaround. I had this, my heart was starting to be problematic the last 2 months, irregular heartbeat, concerning. But I went to this holistic doctor, and on the same day, my wife had ordered one of those little mini trampolines. You saw a video with some woman she was describing all the benefits she received from doing it for about a month. And then I put that together last night when I came back from the doctor, and I had some supplements and some homeopathic things. I had like 5 different things for my heart and some of the other things that are going through. Mostly my health has gotten better since the last time they took blood from me in 2021 after post-COVID. And that was better than in 2020 when I had just a horrible, whatever was going on. So, I've had 3 blood draws there, and they had the last one, and the last one was better than the first one. So, but I had some issues, some swelling in the heart area, and just not good stuff. And I felt like a complete turnaround. And I think it was maybe the jumping on I did the rebounder. I just feel like doing it. Like I was just sitting there watching TV, and 10 minutes went by like nothing. And I really enjoyed doing it. It gets my heart rate going and just move everything around. And then the supplements I was taking, and just like I haven't had any, off heartbeats or whatever. Like everything's going. I just feel better. So like that, initially I feel like there's been a transformation. So Don Lemons went to court today, and here is Katie Fang, and she is she used to be on MSNBC or one of these things. Here's Joy Reid. We know who she is. I'm not sure who these other people are. I've seen them or heard them before, maybe on Don Lemons. But they're holding for Don Lemons at he's in court here.
Don showed up for his arraignment, entered a plea of not guilty. There'll probably be some type of order set saying you're going to go to trial on such and such date. Here are the deadlines. But a couple of things. One, Abby Lowell's. The Fed seized his cell phone. They took Don's cell phone and said they now have a search warrant for that phone. Your thoughts about that? Because I thought that was very interesting.
I mean, listen, this is so off the rails, just, from the get-go, that it's hard for me to apply like standard FBI practice to this. Because,
it's just so off the rails. But here, Don Lemon's going to come in here. Yeah.
My text messages with, and that's Don Lemon. Don, you want to let us know? Should I text with you? All that.
This is on Don Lemon's show. Don Lemon speaks out.
Talking I've been doing. Maybe I should have scrubbed those texts. Don, man, look. This is your show, my friend. I have just been keeping the seat warm along with others.
Oh, you're anchoring it.
We are good to see you. We're so happy to see you. Tell us what's going on. How you doing, man?
Good, Don. You're some fucking Don. How you doing, Don? Don, you going to prison? Don, are you prepared to go to prison?
I'm doing okay, and I'm so grateful that you guys are here. You are anchoring the show, so you take the lead. I'll answer as many questions as possible. I couldn't have asked for a better panel.
Exactly. I mean, when I looked at this panel, I went, this is like the dream panel. Especially this dude right here. Like, that's just such a fucking dream panel. This is Spicy White Grandma said, Don.
I saw Sam recently, but Asha, I haven't seen you since we worked together.
I know.
It's so great to see you.
So good to see you.
What do you think goes into choosing a name for your YouTube channel called Spicy White Grandma? Like, where do you think that came up? Where did you come up with that name?
Thank you for doing this.
I don't think other people. I don't think her kids call her spicy white grandma, her grandkids.
Sam, I'll just say, I wake up to you in the middle of the night because my YouTube constantly repeats your show.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so I heard this already. Like, I just went through this. I was like, well, Don comes in here, and so I moved forward. I didn't know whether I was going to, bother with this thing. I mean, I knew it, because these panels, usually Don doesn't talk. And the whole point is watching Don make a fool of himself. But he is going to talk more here now because he's in the seat of being interviewed. So we'll watch a little bit. But he's saying, like what he just said there, he has no... You have your YouTube on all night, and it's playing a loop of this guy saying Sneeder's posts. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, that's your level of technology? You don't have to have your YouTube on all night. You wake up in the middle of the night and his videos are playing? Like, what are you going to bed to, right? Like, are you, like, you put on his videos before you go to bed? Is that what... Listen to this motherfucker here. What the hell is going on with him?
I'll just say, I wake up to you in the middle of the night because my YouTube constantly repeats your show.
I'm sorry about that.
Why would you apologize for that? Like, that shouldn't happen. Like, that doesn't happen. YouTube doesn't repeat shit. It tries to gives you some new piece of shit you don't want to watch, right?
Of all the things you've been through over the past several weeks, that could be the worst.
Well, I know, but luckily there's you and then there's Joy, and it just keeps repeating you, Joy, and then me, and then you, Joy, and then me. And I'm like, that's just how I like it.
But, so you like listening to yourself in the middle of the night? Like, that's what you're listening to while you're sleeping? Joy Reid, like, what about these two? What about these two fucks right here? Why they get into your midnight imaginary playlist that happens? Like, is YouTube ever just put something else out there, right? Like, what's happening with your YouTube, Dodd?
What I will say is that because it was a little bit herky-jerky there, and there were people speaking over at the podium, and I didn't want to go over there and interrupt them. But also, I just wanted to be clear. I'll talk about this on my show for as much as I can talk about it, but I don't want to fight this in the press. I'm going to fight this in court.
Good. Way to go. Like, because you're not very good at the press. Like, you make up weird shit, like your YouTube has got this playlist of you, Sam Sneeder, and Joy Reid, and you just keep on listening to that over and over while you're sleeping. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, what? Like how does that happen? Like, you say stupid shit like that, and like you say stupid shit like America's original language was Native American, and then you say and also Spanish. Like, you fucking like you're not really good at the press thing, and hopefully you have good lawyers and to keep your mouth shut. They probably, if your lawyers were smart, they'd say, "Hey, Don, shut the fuck up," right? Don, do not talk about this at all. You're a fucking moron. And then you listen to them. I don't know if you will, because you're not, I mean, like, I don't think you're willfully disobeying them. I just think you can't help yourself, right?
And I think that's where the real, that's where the gains and the wins will be made for the First Amendment and for freedom of the press and for journalists. Not only
there's not going to be any wins over this. At the very least, they'll say that this was your right to be a journalist. But, like, I doubt that's going to fucking happen. I think this is beyond that. I don't think this had to do with journalism. I think they're going to go after you. I think they're going to get you, like, because he's scared shitless.
In the United States, but I believe around the world. So
Spicy White Grandma, she came back with fucking lots of lemons. Lemon strong.
Just again, I'll tell you what I said.
I mean, that's how you know she's a spicy white grandma, because, like, just a normal white grandma might have put like 6 lemons, but she covered the whole fucking thing. That's what makes her spicy.
Wanted to thank all of my colleagues, the journalists around the world, Lemon Nation, of course, my family and my friends. You guys, you have shown up for me in a very real way, and so I feel all of it.
Yeah,
and
they have no power over this. They can help you not at all. They don't have your back because you're fucking up against Trump, who hates you and has a corrupt justice system. And, like I said before, there's lots of crimes that get committed, but they just don't prosecute them. Remember, Trump said he protected Hillary. Like, he said, well, let's not go after her. Like, she was the former first lady. I don't know. That's a bad look. Remember, like I have that meme. Let's play that meme here of Trump saying, that he protected Hillary.
Yeah, please. I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story.
This is about pardoning Hunter Biden.
You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. With Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up, and I'd say, just relax, please. We won the election. I think it would be I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files. And don't forget, she got a subpoena from the United States Congress. And then, after getting the subpoena, she destroyed everything that she was supposed to get. I thought it was so bad to take her and put her in jail, the wife of a president of the United States, and then when it's my turn, nobody thinks that way. I thought it was a very terrible thing. And she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil. But in terms of the country and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail, and I think you know the things as well as I do. There were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country. And a lot of my people, a lot of the MAGA, as they call them, but the base. And I think the base is 75% of the country.
Grateful for it. And as you know, we've all been doing this for a while. But for 30 years...
Sucking? Like, really bad, fake journalism? What is it, Don?
I've been a journalist, and the power and protection of the First Amendment, I believe, has been the underpinning of my work. The First Amendment is there for a reason. It's first for a reason, freedom of the press, first for a reason, because it's the bedrock of our democracy. I believe without the freedom of the First Amendment of the Constitution, everything else just sort of wobbles.
Okay, so if this was a bunch of white racists in a southern, area, like the Ku Klux Klan, I mean, it's like, dissipated. But if this was a bunch of white racists that went into a black church and were harassing the people, and one of them claimed to be like it was an Alex Jones type of, prison planet piece of shit that was out there, one of those kind of guys. It was pretending to be a journalist, and and was a part of the whole thing. You guys would totally want that guy in jail, right? So that's the law that was violated, right? It's not about First Amendment. I don't care. Like, I'm not, I don't, I mean, anything where there was going to be censorship is bad. I don't believe in this kind of censorship, especially now with the internets and all the things we saw before with what Biden pulled. And so censorship is bad. But Trump is, somebody who wants to censor people through lawsuits and control people because he's a fucking pussy and he's a piece of shit and a fucking coward and, a narcissist, all these things. But, either way, Don Lemons seems like he's going to jail, which kind of is funny, right? Because, like, I don't think he should for what happened. Like, I mean, maybe 30 days. I don't know, like something small. But I think he's going, like, fucking federal prison or something, which, we'll see.
Crumbles. And so I think that the events that happened before my arrest and what's happened since, it really shows what this administration, finally, that people are realizing what this administration is all about. And for them...
Do you think that's the tipping point? It's the Epstein, right? That's what the Epstein, when Donald Trump is going against his base and everyone realizes he's a piece of shit, right?
You guys, and you can respond to this, the process is the punishment here. They don't care about the outcome. So like all the people in Minnesota, the great people in Minnesota and around the country, I just want to tell you, and around the world, I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to fight these baseless charges, and I'm not going to be silenced. And so I will hand it back.
Okay, see, there's not being silenced. I mean, no one gives a shit about silence in Don Lemons. Like, you provide fucking plenty of content for people on the right. I don't know what Trump's thing is, but, Trump likes to bully people because that's what he does. But that's, aside from that, no one's, like, scared of Don Lemons' intellectual prowess and his ability to speak truth. All right, so there's Don Lemons. So I was at the doctor's office yesterday here, Totally cunt Barbie. Total cunty Barbie. It should be cunty. Totally cunty Barbie. Cunty is just funnier. Totally cunty Barbie. It's great. I was at the doctor's. I talked about this. There's all these different holistic things you have to sit and wait. You're returning to the waiting room quite a bit. I'd gone there before 4 years ago, and so I'm sitting there, and I usually scroll through YouTube videos, but I can't really watch them there because I don't have any. I don't like earpieces or whatever. And then I realized I could just scroll through Twitter, and I got this. That story I did in my last video about how Candace Owens said that they had a fight. Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk had a fight the night before he died, and he took off his wedding ring, like that stuff I got. And I got a picture of where the difference is where Erika Kirk took down Charlie Kirk's family wedding photo thing. But I used those in my last video, so I got 3 things out of it. This is what I'm saying. I scrolled through Twitter, and I got the totally cunty Barbie. So, who says that Elon Musk isn't doing a good bang-up job over there? Okay, so this was the one lone news thing that was recommended to me today, Saturday, the 14th of February. So in 14 days and 2 weeks will be, the day of the Whispers, the 25 years. There'll be a big event. Will be on that day, like to the day. If it's to the day, then we got 2 weeks, right? This guy looks like he's got a patch over his eye. Look at that fucking smug shit there going on. Anyway.
Honestly, how could a member of Donald Trump's cabinet possibly embarrass themselves more than Pam Bondi did at that hearing? But then...
Well, see, Pam Bondi and the rest of the people do not care about anything I'm sure they care, but they're locked in. But, she was performing for an audience of one, and the Trumpers. For Donald Trump and then, whatever, his cronies. But she was saying things that, Donald Trump wanted to hear. Like, why are you guys paying attention to the Epstein files when Donald Trump has done such a great job? Like, that was exactly, if you know anything about what Trump has said, that's his attitude towards the Epstein files. It's just trying to distract you from what a great job I'm doing. That's his whole attitude about it. And that's what Pam Bondi said throughout the thing. So that's, she didn't embarrass herself. She just did what she was supposed to do. It's embarrassing because it's so bad and wrong. But it isn't like anything worse than what you guys did with fucking Joe Biden and his senility, right? Like you guys all fucking, like you're all a joke, right? But anyways.
Late last night, the Wall Street Journal hit send on what might just be the craziest story about a Trump cabinet member we have seen since he got back to the White House. And boys, there are a lot of competition for that. Now here's the headline. A pilot fired over Kristi Noem's missing blanket and the constant chaos inside
her blankie
at DHS. That's a real headline in the Wall Street Journal. And yes, the headline is wild, of course.
Okay, so the reason I'm covering this, I would probably cover it anyway because that's fucking funny. But I turned on Fox News yesterday, and there's this woman. Her name is, I think, Kennedy. I don't know if that's her first name or last name, but she used to be on MTV years ago when I watched MTV. So that's probably like 30 years ago. Like I don't even know how long ago, like crazy long time ago. And like I didn't watch her. I knew that she was on there. Like I have a good memory. And I think it's the same person. And now she's on Fox News. So she went from MTV to Fox News. Her name's Kennedy, but I think she's probably not Irish, right? But she was saying how great Tom Homan was doing. And Tom Homan is a moron and an idiot and a blowhard. But, that thing in Minneapolis has disappeared because Tom Homan's taken over. And he's de-escalated the whole thing. And so she was saying how bad Kristi Noem was. Like this is on Fox News. They're slamming Kristi Noem. They're going after her on Fox News, which means they're going to have to get rid of her because that's the kind of thing that's going to happen before Trump asks you to quit because like you're a disaster. And she's a moron. Like Trump put morons in these positions and up and down the line, and they're all Trumpers, and none of them live in reality. and they all do his bidding. And, now the fucking disastrous effects are there. So, she is getting hammered by Fox. That means that, it's the Pradas are out, right?
But does not even begin to do this story justice. And I'm going to get into all of the insane details in just a moment. But even before we all saw that story, Kristi Noem's Department of Homeland Security was having, well, you could call it a hell of a week. I mean, this week we saw mass chaos and confusion after officials shut down airspace over El Paso because Border Patrol agents fired a laser they borrowed from the Department of Defense at what turned out to be a Valentine's Day balloon. And they were planning to shut down the airspace for about 10 days, by the way, over that. Now, we've seen 2 ISIS agents put on leave after they appear to have lied about an officer-involved shooting in Minneapolis, lies that may well have been parroted by DHS in their official account of that shooting. We've also seen the release of horrifying body cam footage from the Border Patrol agents who shot Chicago.
Okay, yeah, let's get to the article here.
The private tax data of thousands just from this week. And all of that came before we got this blockbuster, deeply sourced new reporting from the Wall Street Journal about the chaos inside Kristi Noem's DHS.
So, again, Trump has the worst leakers. Has there been anything that, that hasn't been leaked, right?
Now, some of what is reported in this story are things viewers of this show already know, but bear repeating. Like the fact that Noem, quote, has donned flak jackets on ICE raids, posed toting a large gun and recorded messages urging immigrants to self-deport, stood before a group of imprisoned men with shaved heads packed into tight rows in a notorious El Salvadorian prison. And she's done it all with an eye to her style, of course, with TV-ready hair and makeup, as one does, I suppose, when you're standing there as she is in front of a prison in El Salvador. Now, there are also some things in this article we didn't know but have long suspected, like about Noem's unusually close relationship with DHS advisor and former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski. The Wall Street Journal reports, quote, Lewandowski and Noem, who are both married, have publicly denied the reports of an affair, but people said they do little to hide their relationship inside the department. Now,
boom. Corey Lewandowski getting his fucking stink on with this cunty Barbie.
Struck me about this as well, as you read the story, is this is not a single source story. There are a lot of sources in this story. A lot of people talked to the Journal for this story. Anyway, that aside, officials say their relationship has even made the highly immoral Donald Trump uncomfortable. That's obviously not a serious way to describe Donald Trump, but he's uncomfortable by it, is the point. A DHS spokeswoman
made Jeffrey Epstein in his grave uncomfortable.
Responded to the Wall Street Journal saying the department doesn't waste time with salacious, baseless gossip, which doesn't sound like a no that it didn't happen to me or that it's not going on, I guess, to me, but who knows? So that alone is pretty newsworthy in a kind of makes your skin crawl kind of way. But what really makes this news story such a bombshell piece of reporting is some of the truly wild things we are just learning for the very first time. For instance, during one official trip, people familiar with the incident say, quote, Noem had to switch planes after a maintenance issue was discovered, but her blanket wasn't moved to the second plane. Corey Lewandowski then fired a U.S. Coast Guard pilot after Noem's blanket was left behind. Okay, the story continues. It gets even better. The Coast Guard pilot was told to take a commercial flight home when they reached their destination, but they eventually reinstated the pilot because no one else was available to fly them home. What a story.
The Wall Street Journal is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and, he's, very right-wing and all these things. Like, how bad do they want to take this bitch out? What's happening? Did Trump fucking, say, hey, let's get rid of her? But this doesn't make him look good.
Now, surprise, surprise, a DHS spokeswoman declined to address that particular episode when asked about it by the Journal. But let's just pause and put a finer point on that. Kristi Noem and her, let's just call him companion, Corey Lewandowski, tried to fire a Coast Guard pilot just because the Secretary of Homeland Security left her blankie on the plane. Keep in mind, this is the same Homeland Security Secretary overseeing packed ICE detention centers, like the one you see on your screen right there, where detainees are sleeping like sardines under aluminum foil blankets, according to lawmakers, where children are kept. But Kristi Noem apparently can't make it one flight without something to keep her feet warm during the in-flight movie. Poor Kristi Noem. Then there's the incredible saga over Corey Lewandowski's attempt to play policeman.
Yeah, I heard this already too, so I knew this was coming.
This may be one of my favorite details. As far as we know, these two incidents are unrelated. Who knows? But according to the Wall Street Journal, Lewandowski made it known to top ICE officials that he wanted to be issued a law enforcement badge and a federally issued gun, despite the fact, of course, that he was not a law enforcement official and he has not undergone any law enforcement training that we know of whatsoever. Now, Lewandowski tried asking the ICE's legal center to write him a justification for being issued a badge and a gun. And when a top ICE lawyer declined to sign off on the whole thing, I wonder why, he was placed on administrative leave. Lewandowski then eventually persuaded other lawyers to sign off on his gun-toting ambitions, feeling like a big man, Corey Lewandowski, I guess. And this is my favorite part. The ICE director's auto pen was used to sign off on the paperwork. Now, of course, DHS denies that all of this happened and claimed that the ICE lawyer was put on administrative leave for other reasons. Okay. But MS Now has confirmed a large part of that story tonight, also reporting that the ICE lawyer was actually escorted from the building after.
So, when I heard this thing before, they're saying that no one wants Corey Lewandowski around. He's a weird fuck. I mean, he got bounced off of Fox. Like, wasn't he a Fox guy? And he worked for Trump, Trump 1.0. But Jesus fucking Christ, like, yeah. It's a bigger clown show than people realize, like, behind the scenes, because of course it has to be.
After refusing to sign off on Lewandowski's request for a gun, according to two current and former officials. The whole incident is especially wild when you consider that this is the same department that even claimed carrying a gun lawfully was enough to justify killing Alex Preddy.
All right, we get the idea. So, I don't know how people would think Trump's doing a good job. But, of course, people are, if you're listening to Fox News, they're even slamming. I don't know how much of this they're saying. But Fox News is owned by the same people that own Wall Street Journal. So, that's where that's at. Okay, so this is kind of a weird post. Thomas Massey. I'm not suicidal. I eat healthy food. The brakes on my car and truck are in good shape. I practice good trigger discipline and never point a gun at anyone, including myself. There are no deep pools of water on my farm, and I'm a pretty good swimmer. All right, so that's fucked. The weird thing about this is it popped up on my feed, and I sent it to my wife, and I then went to look for it on his feed, and it doesn't exist on his feed. But this is his account, right? It's the same account. And here, like, you're going through it, it's just not here. See, it's not there. It's not there. It's actually from yesterday, so this is, it's not here. It's not here. It's not there. So, I don't know where it is. This is, this thing right here. And coming up. It's kind of funny. Here.
Cocoa beans from the upper slopes of fix you some of this new Mococo drink. All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua. No artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
From the Truman Show, they did this. They did the same thing with Erika Kirk and Charlie Kirk. Apparently, there's one more thing about Erika Kirk that I just found out that Candace Owens said. I just want to say, Thomas Massey seems like a good guy, whatever, maybe not. Seems a little, whatever, maybe effeminate, I don't know. The thing is that just because people agree with you doesn't mean they're on your side, right? There are a lot of people that say the things you want to hear. Trump was one of them at one point, right? These people. Pam Bondi was one of them, right? People love Pam Bondi. when she was saying that she would release the Epstein files. I mean, all these people that said stuff, Donald Trump Jr., who said, yeah, we got to release the Epstein files, all that shit, right? And, then they about face RFK Jr., all these people. Some cases, someone like Megyn Kelly, even Charlie Kirk, when he said that Epstein was probably Mossad. Just because someone agrees with you doesn't mean they're on your side and they're on your team. And like you should, in certain circumstances, you can root for them because you agree with them and they seem to be champion your cause. But, if they were really on your side, they'd tell you what I tell you, which is we're fucked, right? This Epstein thing isn't going to do shit, or any of these things, right? Because, I was saying this to my wife in the car, if you get rid of all these so-called evil people, then who's going to do the evil shit we need them to do to keep our lifestyle going? Your American lifestyle doesn't come about because of, despite these people. They're keeping the system going. They're keeping the beast going. Without evil, the beast stops. That's another bumper sticker thing. Without evil, the beast fails, right? So evil is a key ingredient to our lifestyle, to the beastly system. And so, they're doing evil on your behalf, at least on the material level, to keep the system going. They're not doing it for you, but for everybody, right? This is what keeps the system runs on evil and illusion and deception. And so without deceivers, without people who are willing to do evil shit, the system would have collapsed years ago and should collapse. And it goes against God's will, but we're all participating in that. So it's not like, we get to ride off on our high horse because we don't engage in the evil that's done. We don't consciously choose to do the evil that keeps the system going. But most people are pretty clear, if it comes to giving up shit or doing evil, do evil. That's what most people think. And, I could say 100% that would be the case. They don't want to do the evil themselves, just like people don't want to kill animals, but they want to eat meat, right? How many people who eat meat couldn't kill an animal? Like what percentage of people who eat meat couldn't slaughter an animal, right? Like they you go fishing with them, they want someone else to kill the fish or, whatever it is, right? They can't certainly clean it or do any of the things with it. They don't like the death part, but they like what shows up in the grocery store. Like that's cool, but they don't want to know about the other part, right? So, the reality is that people just don't care about morality when it comes to losing their lifestyle or losing what they think is they're entitled to. So there's that. So I was told that this happened.
Tell you what that last weird text exchange was about, the one where Erika tells her not to drink and to suck her stomach in tonight, wherever they're going tonight. People assumed that they had gone somewhere together, but no, that exchange is actually in reference to Erika then having sent this 15-year-old to have photos taken. Insane. She sent this 15-year-old to have photos taken. She's helping her because she's just so beautiful, get into maybe some modeling. That's at least how she presented it to her. So after telling her how...
Okay, so we know, of all the industries, again, Candace Owens, this is Candace saying that this is what this girl told her, right? Because Candace went to talk to her even though she wasn't supposed to. That whole bullshit thing that I said earlier on my last video. But of all the industries, when I covered all this devil worship and Illuminati, blood sacrifice, all the stuff, you think about Hollywood, you think about politics, you think about all these various depraved places that are, morally degenerate. The worst one is the modeling industry. Like, that's the fucking most fucked up things. You see those fucked up fashion shows, those cannibalistic fucking fashion shows, the weird things that they do, the Met Gala thing. Of all the weird shit that's out there in the elite class, the modeling industry, the fashion industry is the fucking worst. It's the most sort of demonic. It's like this, Caligula kind of fucking eyes wide shut. That's where all that the weirdest of the weird shit is. These models get, all of them, male, female, they're all sexually, they're all prostituted and human trafficked. I mean, it's just like, that it's just the worst, right? There's that guy Rickson. He plays Jack Reacher on Amazon, and he said like he was basically sexually abused. As I mean, he's a big, strong, bodybuilder guy, and he was abused by some dude. Like, it's all this stuff. Like, it's the worst of the worst, right? And so sending these photos out, I mean, it's just like it's the worst thing you could possibly do. To get into that pipeline of depravity, right? It's a fucking, and I'm not saying, Candace just always making up shit, and like, nothing Candace says can be trusted. But Erika Kirk, she seems like this kind of person, right? I mean, because she's in the modeling industry. She was in the beauty contest. That's a part of that. The beauty contest stuff is a part of the modeling industry, right? These all things are interconnected.
Beautiful and perfect her lips were. She then sets her up with a photographer, a friend of Erika's. Erika, she says, arranged the entire thing. This person she had only met once, then after what maybe love bombing her, we describe it, then sends her to meet up with this male photographer. And Jillian said that this photographer was kind of creepy. She's trying to remember his name. She says she remembers it began with an R, and he was kind of shorter, chubbier, and...
Was it Ronald Rump? Was it Ronald Trump?
Yeah, I'd say yeah, Jillian, that's pretty creepy. Any photographer who is taking photos of a 15-year-old without their parents' consent is a creep.
Okay, so, if this happened, I mean, in Erika Kirk, I don't know what kind of denials are coming out of this. I don't know what they're saying about it. But if this happened, Erika Kirk, where she gets the money at 25 that she's like in Ghislaine Maxwell territory here. Like if she's doing this thing, if this actually happened, and this girl said this to Candace Goins and this happened, then she's doing Ghislaine Maxwell thing. Because as an adult, you would first say to the kid, make sure you get your parents' permission. But as a Christian fucking Bible-beaten whore that, Erika Kirk is, this, this really goody Miss Two Shoes, and all the things she said about marriage and, like there's a certain level of Christian, like, real Christians who are really dedicated to morality and family, like really good Christians. There's some out there. My ex, who also is like, was fucked morally, but she got into this kind of stuff as trying to learn about being a godly woman, right? She belonged to some of these groups of these real devoted Christian women because there wasn't anything that existed in the meditation stuff, right? And, I know what their lingo is and I know what they talk about. And Erika Kirk knows their lingo. She knows the evangelical lingo. She knows how to talk to these people. And they're very conservative. And you would never advise a 15-year-old girl to go to some seedy photographer or even just whatever, any guy who's willing to take pictures of 15-year-old girls in a modeling setting without her parents being involved. Like Erika Kirk is we know she's fake as fuck, but this shows you what level of depravity she's existed in. That she's, whatever she's doing and grooming her for. And apparently this modeling agency, well, listen to this here.
Find me this. I am looking to find and discover who this person was. And I would also similarly say that any person who is arranging for photographs to be taken of a 15-year-old girl without explicit permission from that person's mother is a total creep. So Erika, having done this, is completely and utterly creepy. It's creepy. It makes no sense.
And this is where she sucks. Because she doesn't know Erika did this, right? Again, this young girl posted these things. These texts may or may not be real. I kind of think they are real because it sounds like Erika, but they might not be real. Right? This whole thing might not be, like this whole thing could be fake, like whatever. But as a so-called journalist that Candace Owens likes to think of herself or whatever she qualifies herself as, that she, but freaking guinea hens, whatever she is or isn't, she should say allegedly, just like with Mitch Snow. This girl saying this guy's creepy, he might not be creepy, but of course, if he's taking pictures of a 15-year-old girl, I mean, what fucking, how can you not be creepy, right? Like, there's that. But the parent, like, why wouldn't the guy make sure he got her parents' consent? And why would Erika be involved in something where there was no parental consent? Like, I mean, this is definitely borderline fucking human trafficking kind of stuff, right? Like if this actually happened, and again, Candace Owens shouldn't be saying it happened factually because it hasn't, but she's always hated Erika. But if this did happen, like this is human trafficking shit, right? This is, there's a reason why she didn't want her parents to know, right? She didn't want to bring her parents into this because, like, if anybody says, yeah, don't tell your parents and they're an adult, like that's like this, that should never come out of their mouth, right? Like, that should never be said to you. If a 15-year-old kid, if some adult, some strangers interacting with you says, don't tell your parents, then you should go tell your parents, right? Like they're up to something no good. If they're saying, yeah, let's not tell your fucking parents, those squares, right? Let's not tell those buzzkills, right? Fuck.
It makes no sense. I will not allow people to say that it makes sense in some context. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I asked, did she speak to your mother? She said, no, she never spoke to my mother. This was happening on the phone. Her mom's probably thinking she's just on Instagram speaking to whoever.
This is known as hearsay. Now, we don't know if Candace actually talked to this girl, but I think she did. And we don't know what the girl said or not. And we don't know what, like Candace is just not, we saw what she did with Mitch Snow. But, all of this stuff is totally believable. And, if this turns out to be true, we'll see what happens with it, right? Erika Kirk's in hiding anyway, because this is bad. Like, this is, the Christian community will never tolerate this shit, right?
Not even considering that this is happening. So what does all of this sound like? It sounds to me like every parent's worst nightmare. Your kid has a phone, they get social media accounts, they're making friends over the internet, and the next thing you know, you find out that there's a man at night, if Erika's message is to be believed, who's taking photos of them. So I'll ask the question, the obvious question here. How much smoke before we are allowed to confirm that it seems there may be a fire?
Okay, see, this is where Candace Owens gets goofy. I'm going to end this thing here. This, like, I'm right about Miss Snow. Well, you're not. My wife has had two people come forward, people that she's close to. One telling her she was right about Pizzagate, and another apologizing, a family member apologizing for Pizzagate, right? Like, you were right about a Democratic liberal family member saying, I'm sorry that I doubted you about Pizzagate. But I'm like, yeah, but are they listening to you about anything else? Like, do they ever say, well, you were right about that, so you must be right. What else are you right about? And they never do. Bill Mayer apologizing to the Pizzagate at the QBs. What else, right? Because this isn't, for people who are right about this stuff, we're right all the time. It isn't hard to be right. Like, there's a resistance to the truth. Because the truth is, well, my side does, and the reason these two people are coming, saying to my wife, yeah, you were right about this, is because all the people they listen to are now agreeing with this. Like, they've all come around, right? And not, this isn't about QBs or the Pizzagate. This is about a point of view that many of us have, and it's not left or right. It's just seeing what's obviously in front of us, without any sort of, thinking about what we would prefer or, what's palatable or what we can say, just saying it, right? And those of us who've been doing this for years, it's not hard to see the truth. You're not going to see some detail here, whatever it might be. But it's there for you to see, right? And so, all right, so there's that. Okay, here's some Instagram stuff. Then I'll, here, just watch this one.
What the fuck? What are you wearing? Oh, what am I going? I'm going that shit hard.
Like, memes are great.
Open up Bill Clinton, and inside is Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Because it was through compromising Bill Clinton that Jeffrey Epstein was able to later compromise the entire United States government.
Okay, so this guy's making cool jewelry. Like, everybody wants to have a pendant. Like, what is this thing here? What is this? Like, does it hang for you? Is this a necklace? I mean, everyone wants to have a Jeffrey Epstein inside of a Bill Clinton. Is it made out of gold? Where's the market for this thing, right? But that's not factually true. Jeffrey Epstein had lots of people in Hollywood and politics and all these other places. And so it wasn't like just through Bill Clinton. I mean, like it's a silly idea. But then this guy says this.
The abuse that occurred because of that is beyond anything you could possibly imagine. It is a nightmare, and it's literally a battle.
I mean, this is people are wearing. Who's going to wear this around their neck?
Of good versus evil. That's why.
Is it like you're on the good side?
I have to make my voice heard, not for me, not for jewelry, but for the children.
For the children? You're doing it for the children? You made that for the children? Like you're just fucking retarded.
What did Deepak Chopra say in the email to Epstein? Well, he said God is a construct and cute girls are real.
That thing about God being a construct, I didn't comment on that before. That means the guy doesn't believe in God, right?
Basically saying, who gives a shit about God when you could just abuse a child? These are the crimes of the highest order, and I'm doing my part, and I urge you to do yours. You're either with the abusers or you're against them. You're with good or you're with evil.
Dude, you flatten Epstein's
Pick
face.
a side. You open up Bill.
Okay, so it's just getting fucking goofy out there. Okay, someone put together a good playlist. I'll put it on compilation here. Which I never heard of it. I never heard this thing. I've never seen this phenomenon. Hopefully it doesn't get copyrighted. If it does, I'm just going to remove it from the video. But, here.
I don't think you can park there.
I know I can't park there!
Oh.
That's my favorite one.
Park there.
I know I can't park there!
Oh.
Excuse me, mate, you can't park there.
What?
Can't park there, mate.
Whoa! My wife and I, whenever we watch any kind of English show, especially like we watch Traders from England, we're like, whoa! Let's listen to the guy here.
You can't park there.
What?
Can't park there, mate.
Whoa!
Can't park there, mate.
Well, fuck off!
Y'all can't park here.
We know that. Can y'all not do this?
Y'all can't park here.
We know.
Y'all cannot park here.
Hey, you can't park there.
Yeah, I know, smart.
I had no idea there was a thing. This is just exactly my wife and my kind of thing we laugh at.
You can't park there. Hey, you can't park there. You can't park there.
Y'all back the fuck off. I just got hit by a train.
Hey, you can't park there, gang. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, you guys can't park here.
No shit, really?
This is good. Fucking airbags. They got airbags.
You guys know you can't park there, right? Have a good one.
Hey, you can't park there.
That's what I said.
I don't think you can.
All right, very enjoyable. I like that one. Okay, so Thomas Massey said this.
Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this.
Yeah, and it's really Israel intelligence agency. It wouldn't be as important if it was ours, and it would have been, less of a scandal, right? If it was our intelligence agencies, either one is bad because it would mean our intelligence agencies were complicit in human trafficking, right? Just like they were complicit in drug dealing and other things. But Israel's intelligence agencies, that's us cutting ties with them, right? So you've got to sell to the American people, which I've said over and over again, that a foreign government had an asset in America who was using teenage American girls, human trafficking them, prostituting them, sexually abusing them, and taking those girls and who God knows what else, right, with these politicians and famous people in America. So they could blackmail these people, our politicians, to go against our best interests. And so there's no way our relationship with Israel would survive that, right? Like, there's no fucking way. And so, like, that's what happened. And there's no denying it, right? Like, everybody's talking about this now. I mean, lots of people are. Not mainstream media, but everybody else. It's certainly widespread news on the internet, widespread belief in the internet. All right, so there's that. Okay, this is Mrs. Erika J. Kirk. She's an entrepreneur, which taking on a whole new meaning. She's steadfast in faith of the devil, and she's on hard times. So, she posted a bunch of shit about Charlie here. I don't know what this thing is. So with her kid, it's Charlie. She's giving Charlie a kiss here. Look at that. Look at that fucking thing. Look how happy she is kissing his picture. She's there, standing in front of a flag and posing. She's good at posing. There's her mom fucking, hamming it up with her bullshit disease. There she is with Charlie there as a kid. There she is hugging Nicki Minaj. There's Charlie talking. So they were happier times, right? Here she's bedazzled here with Nicki Minaj. All that bedazzled stuff here, remember? TPUS gay. She's all, look at her, staring at the fucking thing intense. That's my husband. That's my husband. And remember, all bedazzled. She's like feeling herself. She put away her black stuff for the most part. And he was, he's getting it done. And she, but then, even before that, like she was grieving here. She's crying. Oh my God, crying, grieving. And everyone's like, she's got a letter here. And here she is, whoring it up with Trump. The thing, the White House thing here. And Charlie's getting a medal and all that shit. And here she is, remember all the way back then, that way back when she came in, did this speech, and she was doing this, she was getting it done, all that kind of stuff. And then before that, happier times, she was having kids, or she was getting other people's kids and taking pictures with them and pretending to be married to Charlie Kirk and all this happy times. And way before that, she was whoring it up on her own, when she was single or just married before she had the fucking those shitty kids. And Charlie was MAGA, and MAGA was cool for a little bit. People were like, everyone wants to be MAGA. Joe Biden fucking sucked and fucking whatever it is. What do you do? These fucking guys. And before that, when she was single, way, 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 way back here somewhere. I'm not going to scroll down that far, but at some point she was single, whoring it up on Instagram. But now she's been reduced to this kind of stuff.
At the aquarium.
What are we doing?
We're going to see God's creation underneath.
Underneath what?
Well, underneath sea level, obviously. Most people don't get below sea level very often.
The love and joy of our marriage will sustain me for a lifetime. I mean, it's posing shit that they did, right? Look at that fucking flat-nosed fish right there. Look at that motherfucker, sawfish.
Baby, what are these?
Look at it.
No, it looks like John Fetterman.
Looks like John Fetterman. Kaboom.
Where are we going now? This is the second stage?
We're going to the ocean floor. We're decreasing in elevation.
Meaning what type of fish?
I have no idea.
I somehow lost.
Okay, so like she's reduced to that shit. She's getting pummeled. And then she busted out another one of these letters. It looks like she's got a little fucking pudgy little kid hand here. What I would give for one more love letter that had such deep reverence about them. You'd intentionally set aside the noise of the world and hand me words that felt sacred, filled with the depth of love both of us could never quite articulate. But you mean it's a love letter of a love you could not articulate? I read it even slower now. I used to just blow through it and crumple it up and throw it in the... And now as I read your words, the weight of my heart reminds me of the reality that we were never promised gray hair and rocking chairs, even though we assumed it was guaranteed. But my goodness, Do I love telling the babies about the fullness of our covenant that left a mark on my soul? My favorite love story. Honor the Sabbath this weekend with your loved ones. My favorite love story. Honor the Sabbath this weekend with your loved ones. If you're married, take a minute to sit down. Well, which day? Saturday or Sunday? Which day is the Sabbath, cunt? Right? And write to them a love letter, one that shows them you love them. This is her Valentine's Day bullshit. You honor them and you want to continue to be better for them. A letter like this might seem trivial, but you just never know the course of life will take. If Lord calls you home, even in your absence, or your cunt wife fucking conspires to assassinate you, as they reflect on your words, your love is still serving. I love you, Charlie baby. Charlie baby! I love you, Charlie baby. Charlie baby! You'll always be my Valentine. Always. She's never going to have another fucking Valentine like you. Who loves us so dearly? What? Who loves us so clearly, so personally? I love you so much and can't wait to see whatever adventures lay ahead of us. Starting and growing something. Wish you some of the greatest blessings of my life. It is the deep, I want to say deep, I don't even know what that is. It looks like my handwriting, or one of my dad or brothers. This looks something like dyslexic shit here, right? To witness how talented of a mother you are. I adore you beyond words. Seeing the with such charm and joy is the firm of blessings. I love seeing them something. Thank you for your being such a something nasty wife to me. Please let me know how I can better love you and serve you. Charlie baby. It's Charlie baby. I mean, he's fucking love letter. What an amazing love letter. Look at that little fucking pudgy little fucking baby hand there. That's fucking creepy. She's getting it done. Okay, Sunday, February 15th. This video's going up today. I have two more things to add to this. Two more epic fails. Donald J. Trump. The real Donald J. Trump. He's truthing. He's over at Truth Social and he's fucking truthing. He's truthing like a truther. AG Pam Bondi, under intense fire from the Trump derangement radical left lunatics, was fantastic. If you watch The Apprentice, and my wife and I are watching a movie called The Apprentice, which is we got about halfway through, like 3/4 through yesterday. It's about how this guy Cohen, I forget what his first name is, who was Trump's teacher, like all the stuff that Trump does, the way he conducts himself. This guy Cohen was a famous lawyer. He represented all these famous people, and he according to the movie, he taught Trump all these tactics that Trump uses today. Kind of a good movie in a way. I know Trump is hating it. Part of the joy of watching it, there's some funny bits and some gross bits. The guy's a gay dude, and Trump walks in on him taking it in the the keister. It's pretty gross. There's the thing, and the guy's very flirtatious with the Trump character. They where Trump rapes Ivana's in there, like this stuff. It's early Trump, the 80s, 90s Trump. But the idea of The Apprentice was this guy is telling Trump all the things that we know Trump, his tactics of never admitting he's wrong and always going on the attack and suing and all these things. And again, some of it you're like, that didn't happen. Like, there's just lots of things that are clearly embellished, but it's not a liberal thing. But anyways, if you watch the regular show, The Apprentice, Trump is, you know, he likes people to fight, like the way that Pam Bondi was just being a bitch. Like, he loves that. Like, he had two people in the boardroom, whoever was like the bigger bitch, and oftentimes it was women. And when they would give it to the guy, he would fire the guy or fire the other woman. Like, if whoever was nastier, and that's what Trump liked, and that that speaks to this guy Cohen. Is that his name? Whatever, I'll look it up between the thing. But Trump likes what Pam Bondi did. Like, he likes that stuff. Like, her going out, name calling, all that shit. Like, he thinks that she kicked their ass. And she said all the things he wanted to hear. Like, she was performing for the audience of one. Was fantastic at yesterday's hearing on the never-ending saga of Jeffrey Epstein, where one thing that has been proven conclusively, much to their chagrin, was that President Donald Trump has been 100% exonerated of this ridiculous Russia type charges. And he has not been exonerated at all. He is totally complicit. And, just from his the videos of him and Epstein, and him saying Epstein's a terrific guy and likes young girls, like, and everything that Trump has represented over the years, right? Actually, it's the slimeball Democrats, many of them big donors and politicians that have been proven guilty. Republican losers, sanctimonious rhino Congressman Thomas Massey, made a total fool of himself yesterday, fighting aimlessly against a hopeless agenda of hate and stupidity, as most clearly stated by his crashing job approval numbers in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, where a military hero opponent, Ed Calhoun, is crushing him in the polls. He is now in wacky Liz Cheney territory. Nobody cared about Epstein when he was alive. They only cared about him when they thought he could create political harm to the very popular president who has brought our country back from the brink of extinction. That line itself is so clueless because it's his people that cared about Jeffrey Epstein. So you're calling your people nobodies, right? But, this is, of course he's going to say this. He loved what she did. Like, she was performing for him. They cared only about him when they thought he would create political harm to the very popular president who has brought our country back from the brink of extinction very quickly at that. In fact, this attempt by the Democrats to take away attention from the tremendous Republican success has backfired badly. Maybe they should focus on their quest to open our borders to the world's greatest criminals, have transgender for everyone, or get men, no matter their size, strength, to play women's sports. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. So that was fucking, totally Trump, and this whole thing was like that. Okay, so then this showed up. This is Amy Poehler playing Pam Bondi.
My time is valuable. The DOJ has many ongoing operations, and we're moving like Kash Patel's eyeballs very quickly in multiple directions at once.
Okay, so that is horrible. It's fucking the worst. And I think I covered her doing this before. I covered her doing this with somebody, and I think it was Pam Bondi. So Amy Poehler has almost zero talent. And she's so talentless that she cannot pull off a Southern accent, right? So she's just being Amy Poehler, like that annoying character that she's played before, whether it be Hillary Clinton. I talked about her when she did Hillary Clinton. She changed nothing. She just acts like Amy Poehler, and they give her a different fucking haircut. Like, her full responsibility as a creative artist and comedian in her imitation of Pam Bondi is to be blonde. Like, that's her sole responsibility. And they have a blonde girl on Saturday Night Live. Like, I don't watch any of it because when I do, it's just to mock it, right? Because it's horrible. I mean, Saturday Night Live was, when I look back at it, there were periods where it was funny, and funny at the time. A lot of it doesn't age well. Certainly, if you look at a bunch of the sketches, different periods of the show, but the last 15 years, it's been unwatchable. And, it's pandering to left-wing bullshit, and it's never funny. I mean, they just don't have, even if they have quality guests. But they have a woman who does quality impressions. She's, I don't know what her name is, but I've seen her do them. And so they have, and anybody can do a Southern accent, like Jesus fucking Christ. The Southern accent, Southern people are generally nicer than people from the North. And there's, in the way that they talk and the way that they talk to each other, it's less aggressive. Like if you think a New York accent or Boston accent or Chicago accent, these people live in these hostile cities. And, I mean, there's just in the accent itself, it sounds like you're angry, right? But the Southern accent, almost everybody can do. Like everyone can do. It's the easiest accent to do, right? And Pam Bondi has this kind of bitchy sorority thing, which it should be easy for someone with art, acting abilities to imitate, right? Some of her mannerisms, ho, ho. You're a failed politician. Just something like anything, but this being Amy Poehler, which is not funny. Like this is what she does constantly. I mean, like I said, every person she's imitated, she's done a shitty job, right? She looked a little bit like Hillary Clinton, but she doesn't look that like Pam Bondi, right? Just like Amy Poehler, who, like, she's not on the show. They brought her back for this.
That I have here on this paper, don't make me use them.
I'll ask again, did the president direct you to indict James Comey?
I'm not.
Jesus Christ. So that's your responsibility if your job is to just go and be the annoying character that you were on every other sketch on Saturday Night Live and that shitty show you were on. The annoying, mousy, blonde, not funny person. Like, how'd she even get this job? You have to, most of these people do improv and, they can do multiple characters. They have some kind of either character they made up themselves or they do impressions. Like, so your job on Saturday Night Live is to do impressions. Political ones, right? And you need to sound like the person. If it has a Southern accent, you should be able to fucking do that, right? Okay, so I'm going to cover the dunk contest today on my other channel for Monday, tomorrow, where there'll be no video here. The NBA All-Star Dunk Contest, which was so bad. It's kind of hilariously bad. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Olympic skater who fell. And how there's not, like, a lot of these athletes aren't even from the countries they say they're from. So it's like the Olympics has become an absolute joke. The guy's name was Roy Cohen in The Apprentice. And part of, like, the enjoyment of watching the movie is I'm sitting there thinking about Trump's reaction as he watches it. Because it's certainly a Hollywood liberal movie, so they're going to shit on Trump. But not in a way that you would think. Like, he's actually almost a naive... he's not himself in the beginning. Like, he gets turned by this guy, Roy Cohn, and, there's an influence of rich Jewish billionaires that Trump is catering to, so that's kind of interesting. There's things about it that are, like, obviously embellished, but other ways it's, it was kind of good. Like, it's an okay movie. It's, like, pretty good. Like, we laughed sometimes, and, like, it wasn't... And I was wondering why I never heard of it. Because, Trump must have went ballistic when he saw it. I mean, like the way that they portray him and all these things. And it's not, I think maybe the beginning where he's naive and kind of stupid, they did that on purpose to piss him off. Like, I think, it's almost like they made a movie for an audience of one. Anyways, it's streaming on Amazon Prime for those people who are interested. And again, like, I had no idea this movie existed. Okay, so I think I have some comments to get to. I'm not sure. But I wanted to address health stuff. Somebody had mentioned, people were concerned about my health because of what I said before. And so, I look at health in a different way. Because, in the Sajmark system, poor health is a vehicle for your spiritual evolution. Diseases and things. And you can even see this, like, sometimes you'll see this with your kids, especially when they're small, that they'll go through some sort of health crisis and come out like more evolved, like there'll be more person there. You know, you have, especially if you've had past lives and whatever you have coming into life, like as a soul, like, you know, let's say you have mastered various things, or you have experiences in like marital relationships and, you know, raising kids and, you know, whatever, like farming, you know, whatever it might be, right? You've had developed things in the past that you can draw from, but they don't exist yet. Like you have these samskaras that are good and bad, you know, and they're looking for the right environment. Like if you're an alcoholic, like, you know, there's a great episode of The Simpsons where that character, I think his name is Barney, the drunk, is some Ivy League pompous asshole, right? And Comer gives him his first beer, and he gets that. He goes from having a sort of an uppity, like, look, like a elitist look on his face, to where he's a drunk, like he's got that drunk, you know, whatever that drunk expression he has. Like you can see they change his face, like, you know, they draw him differently. You know, and like that's an indication of that. I talked about this woman who was, I used to pick up these people from, a lot of them were addicts, you know, rich people that are going to this this kind of a treatment center for, you know, wealthy people to dry out and get off drugs. And, you know, some of them were semi-famous. And there's a woman who was a judge. You know, she was a famous person in the city, like a, you know, prominent person. And she had a family, and she was respected. And she smoked crack, and within 3 months she was prostituting herself. And she never showed up. She either never got on the plane or she never showed up. Like I drove home. I drove back to the place alone, you know, like one of those things. And so, you know, you have things like that where people have their whole lives and all of a sudden they go south. They go off, you know, they get addicted to gambling, or they something, you know, or something good happens. Like they're, you know, people are like, they have a hidden talent. And so as you know, go through life, there's these things that get pulled out of you. And oftentimes, you know, difficult circumstances will pull them out of you. You know, trauma, and some of those things will be physical illnesses and things like this. It's a way to burn off these bad samskaras. So in the Sajmark system, you know, almost every gathering I went to, I got sick. And, you know, like my brother once said, that he got really sick in India, like almost like he was about to leave. And they said, you know, you shouldn't probably fly. And he said, you know, that has there any been a time where somebody, like, you know, whatever, just didn't recover from these gathering things? Like my brother wasn't sensitive to the energy, but he understood the nature of the thing. And he said, you know, whatever he said to me that he said to somebody else, that, you know, that this always like works out in the end. Like there's a switch, which we all kind of learned about, right? You know, then I heard after Chargy died, the third master, before these gatherings, like he would be on death's door. Like doctors and people are like, you can't do the gathering. They were going to cancel the whole thing, or, you know, he wasn't going to be able to do it. And then the day before, he would get 100% better. He would just get better. And there was a guy, his name was Don Savarin. He was a Canadian guy, and he was he was a registered nurse, but also like a chiropractor. Like he did various alternative health things, and he had nursed Babaji back to health. Like he was there for Babaji. So it was one of his many sort of health crises that he had when he was older. You know, he was, you know, frail and older. You know, he was in his 70s. And Don himself was in India, staying at Babaji's place. You know, he had this very rural place. Like it was not nice. Shahjahanpur and Fatehgarh were the first master of the system. They're just really bad. Like, you know, I mean, nice in the sense of maybe some country land, you know, whatever, northern India. I mean, out in the sticks, but there's, you know, like just a poor village that's not that, like, you know, there's a lot of maybe criminal activity, you know, not a great small little town. And people started to come from America and Europe there to his house. And his house was, I mean, they had a well pump, like you had to pump your water with a well. You know, he eventually got a hot water heater for people from southern India who are cold, because northern India has, it gets cold in the winter. And these guys would come there unprepared, and they have to take a morning bath, as part of their, up being a Brahmin. But so there's these morning, baths, ritualistic baths that they would take habitually. And, he was given meditations at like 4 a.m, so people had to get up and take cold water baths with well water. And so he got a hot water heater, but the problem was it took like half an hour to heat the water. By that time, everyone had, done the like freezing bath, this thing. And so, people had to sleep on cement floors with newspapers. He'd get down to like probably below freezing some nights in the winter, whatever it was. And then, people would be sleeping on like cardboard and fucking newspapers. Like it was just bad. Like cement little buildings and things, sometimes a lot of these places, they would have holes where windows were, but don't like no windows, like just open, so. And so the saying was, minimum comfort's maximum spiritual benefit, right? Like there was some, you weren't suffering on purpose, but there was just minimum comforts and would help drive you in and, inward and make the meditation more, whatever it was, more, more, you'd experience it better. And so at some point they built a building for people from Europe and America, people like wealthier people that were used to better standards of living. This is in Babaji's, his complex. And it was just a cement building, but it was like a little bit nicer in some ways. And, this guy, Don Salvin, talked about how that the wind would blow all the dust in through these open windows. And one time, him and a bunch of people decided to really clean the place and scrub it. And then the wind blew, and like after half hour after they were done, the whole thing was just coated in dirt and dust again, so it was like that kind of thing. But he did something where he's trying to fix the electricity or something on the roof of the place, and he got electrocuted, like because of the faulty wiring, and he died, and he was like dead for 20 minutes. And he, recanted this experience. I had a couple long conversations with this guy when I was in my first trip to India, and he said that he remembered being in this like really blissful state, post dying, and he didn't want to come back to his body. And Babaji went and got him, like they almost like had an argument type of thing, and convinced him that they had to come back into his body, right? And later on, some years later, they did like an MRI on the guy. He had like holes in his brain and multiple things wrong, and like the doctor said, like, holy shit, you should be dead, right? How are you alive? And so, it's just a different type of a thing in the Sajmark system. There's these, it happened to me when I was in India. My son got dengue fever. And dengue fever is difficult because, you have these, I guess it's a virus, is it a virus or whatever it is? It's carried by mosquitoes. And there's 4 types of it. And the problem with the dengue fever is, most of these types of viruses, or whatever causes, these things that cause fever, that your body kills it by heating up, right? Like your body, this is how your body deals with these types of, whatever they are. But with dengue fever, it can survive into temperatures up to 105, 106, which, can kill a person. Like you're getting your body that hot can kill you and cause, various effects on your blood and, all these things. You have to support your blood platelets because the blood, is, it can like, you can hemorrhage and shit like that. And my son went into this, like he, went into where he was having seizures, like it was bad. And we had this guy who was a natural practitioner of stuff, like it was an Indian version of acupuncture puncture that existed before, what Chinese medicine now. And he knew a couple different. He was, he came over and was helped us with that. He like one really bad night, but it's lethal. Like people will get it, and there's 4 types, and my son had 1, but there are 3 more you could get, and you get them from mosquitoes. It's a whole fucking thing, right? And so when he was having that, I got really sick. And at one point, I looked it up, and I felt like I had tuberculosis, which is something you can get in India. And I was really bummed, because it was that would be a long-term fucking fight with this illness, and I was like, really sick, like, I was just really weak. This is like just right before my divorce. And it was being overshadowed because my son had been, I was functioning because my son was like in crisis, right? But I was like weak and sick and just, not doing well myself. And my ex, she had the same thought, like that night that I had tuberculosis, like whatever. She had like come up with the same thing. And she had some like intuitive healer type things. But I went to go get tested. And when I got there, I was like, I feel better. Like when I went to get the tests, it's like I had tuberculosis and then I didn't. And they said that I had this disease. It sounded like a dinosaur, the name of the thing. I forget it was called. But it's a disease that's like a respiratory thing you get if you're in the hospital too long or something. It was a weird thing. Like it's just like that was. But I felt like something. This has happened to me before, where it feels like I have something really bad, and then all of a sudden it just clears up, right? And like it would happen at these gatherings where I get sick, and then, I'd be really sick, and then I'd be like, this one day I'd just be better. Like it was like that. And this thing happened recently where I had this heart issue, and, the test came out not great, but my blood work came out better than 2021. Like I'm a lot better off. I feel better. And then I came home and I had some supplements, things that were particularly for my heart, and there's some congestion there, maybe some swelling, I don't know. But, and then my wife had gotten this, one of those little mini trampolines, and she had just seen a video about how great they are. If we had one before, we never used it. And I started doing it. I felt like really into it. Like I did like 10, 15, I did like, 7, 8 minutes, 10 minutes without thinking about it. And I was like, I felt a lot better after doing it. Like it, have inflammation and other things. And it was just like the switch was thrown. And, I had some irregular heartbeat and things. And it just kind of seemed to have gone away. And we'll see what happens over the next, weeks or whatever. But I think that it's just, something happened. And like, I don't like going to the doctor because it usually gets worse. But we have this alternative, care place. And, they have these various equipment things that they can test you for supplements like the way that they do with muscle testing, but it's a machine, and they have other things and, indicators and things. And, like I have some issues, and like I'd like to lose some weight, for these things, but we'll see, hopefully eventually that'll happen. Like, my dad and my brother were very skinny, were relatively in shape. Like my dad was fat by the time I knew him because, my dad was 40 something when I was a baby. When I was conceived, he was like 43. So like I knew him as a 50, 60-year-old, and he had a beer belly, and he was, he was a big eater, and he didn't exercise that much. My brother just got big for a while, for maybe like 15, 20 years, and he would, he'd been in shape his whole life, and then he put on some weight, he put on weight. I was like, holy shit, man, dude, you put on a lot of weight. And then I saw him, and he had lost all the weight. Like my dad, like he died skinny. He had an IBS or whatever. But like, this is something that happens in my family. There's weight that's put on later on in the 50s and 60s, and then, it goes away. And like, so I feel good. Like I feel healthy. I mean, like, I've had this little bout with whatever, like this last month or so, where my heart started to have an irregular heartbeat, but that's gone away. Like I've had maybe one since the past, whatever, and it seems to be a fading thing, we'll see what happens. The way I understand it, you have your death date. Like there's a day you're going to die, and you can leave early, that can happen. Usually by choice, but you've given up, you've quit, and you have these early exit points. But other than that, it's just about the quality of life as you get older. And so that's what you're fighting for. That's why, I eat healthy foods, and I exercise, and I keep my cortisol stress levels down. And, you're just fighting for the quality of life as you get older because, you're going to live to a certain age, and, no one wants to go out like just a worthless piece of shit being a burden on everybody and not being able to contribute. Like, that's just not the way to do it. Nobody likes doing that. And, there's this stuff that happens with people. Like I saw it with my parents, and, where they keep you alive on allopathic medicines that just have all these side effects, and they deplete you of your life force, and you're just, an NPC zombie, just waiting to die and they're not being able to. Why they take as much of your wealth as they possibly can in the medical system. And then when you run out of money, they let you die, right? It's just, no, it's ghoulish, right? It's, horrible. And I had this tooth thing, which I'm pretty sure I don't have an infection. Like, it's been almost, 6 months, 8 months. It was in the summer. I can't remember exactly when it was, but maybe it was in July, so maybe 6 months ago. And it wasn't clear whether, because my bottom teeth was hitting my top tooth. And like some kind of trauma happened while I was sleeping, and it affected it, made it swell, and there was issues. A couple of dentists said I had an infection, wanted to take it out, and this other holistic said I didn't. And I've done different things to keep it, to keep the swelling down, and it's mostly gone away. And once in a while, it sort of flares up. And I don't want to remove the tooth and go through the whole thing. It'd be a front tooth. I'd have to replace it just for, it would affect my speech patterns and whatever else. And that's a whole fucking nightmare process. And yet, if it is infected, the bacteria can get in your blood system and go into your heart. So like these are the concerns that you have. Like when you get older, there's just your body starts breaking down, and there's things like that, right? And so but there are some like arthritis. This is like some of the things that they found, like some mild, not severe, initial stages of arthritis and things like this. And this is what happens when you get old, right? You get, when you go to a doctor, you're going to get bad news. It's almost like that's why I don't go to, like you just, it's better just, keep on chugging along but doing things that you can to, retain what you have. And anybody who's in their 40s and 30s, I'm not giving medical advice, and I never give advice for anything, but, there's a good time for people to, even when you're younger, like the choices you make when you're younger are going to affect you when you're older. Alcohol and drug use and, lack of exercise and, these things, all these kids growing up and spending all this time on the internet, not moving their bodies and things like that. And it's going to have an effect, long-term effect, toxic foods, whatever you're, all the things that you're doing, it's going to reflect as you get older. It's going to impair your ability to function and things. And, it's better to get preventative early. And, I've done some of that over the years, and I've always exercised, and, I started eating healthy, and I stopped using alcohol and drugs in my 20s, my early 20s, and, things like that. And whatever it is, but, like I have good genetics for longevity, but it's like I said, to be able to keep on living what is a human life, for as long as you can. Like you don't want to have 10 years of being like almost in a coma, right? Where you can't do anything. And it's just, it's like torture. You're like imprisoned in a body that no longer works. Anyways, so there's that. Okay, a few comments to get to here. I thought I had some I didn't cover, but I already had covered those. So the first one is this. Why is YouTube suggesting this slop? Oh, this is Erika Kirk finally admits that she is a twat waffle and Pam Bondi. And so this person writes, why is YouTube suggesting this slop to me? Fancy an old guy crapping on women for content. Do you think I only crap on women? Like, you think I shouldn't crap on women at all? Like this, that they should just be excluded from mockery? Only men can be mocked? Like that's, like it's not like this is equal opportunity mock going on here because of all this. By the way, mate. Okay, so this is not an American. By the way, mate, twat waddle followed by a laugh at your own joke is not funny after the 50th time, just annoying. And somebody wrote, it's twat waffle, you jackass. So if you're going to say that I'm being redundant with twat waffle and that it's not funny after the 50th time, then you would be able to get it right. Like you've heard it this many times and you don't know what I'm fucking saying. It's in the title of the fucking video. Somebody sent me a video on twat waffle. On twat waffle, and I have, but it's a term I'm not familiar with, but it's not twat waddle. Twat waddle. Like, do you have, what's your level of comprehension if you've heard something 50 times and you still don't know what it is? And it's literally in the title of the video. And it's probably why you clicked on it, right? Was it the thumbnail or was it the title? Because you've never been here before. But either way. And then someone wrote, QAnon are worse than flat earthers. Well, really, they graduated into becoming QAnon. Like, a lot of the QAnon people were flat earth people or flat earth sympathizers, or, it was this whole mentality, right? The truth community was there were some left-wing people, some right-wing people, some Democrats and liberals, but mostly people who, when the truth community began, it was people who maybe sort of leaned one way or another, but they kind of got that the whole system's fucked and rigged. And they knew they understood the left-right paradigm, that the system's controlled by the same people. And they give you two options. And the options aren't real options, they're just whatever you identify with. And you go back and forth between these two options, and then you realize that there's no real difference. They're in symbiotic relationship. They're, these polarized extremes that are, they're grouped together. Most people have at least one or two things. Like if you're a conservative, you have one or two things that you do that are, or believe in, that are liberal. And most liberals have one or two things at least that they, in terms of issues, like a conservative who believes in abortion, right? Or a liberal who believes in pro-life, like these kind of things, right? Like a liberal who believes in being a Christian or whatever, goes to church. And so, like, they have these things that you're not, nobody fits in 100% to one box or the other until you hate the other side so much that you embrace whatever the liberals tell you or the conservatives tell you what to do. And so there was these people who, like me, who just really didn't believe in any of it, right? And that was, made up a good portion of the truth community. But then the truth community became really right-wing because the right-wing people saw their life disappearing, and there was, more people were moving toward the extreme right-wing. And then, the truth community just turned. And you had a lot of people who just hated liberals and hated Democrats and weren't being truthful. And they wanted to, they embraced biblical bullshit things that weren't, like the flat earth stuff and then the thing with QAnon. But they're right-wing people who, have never confronted their own indoctrination, the bullshit on their side, right? And who can't see Trump for what he is. It's just... these kind of people, they're just oblivious to reality. I mean, if you can't see Trump for who he is, he's just completely punked you. He lied right to your fucking faces and told you that he believed in what you believed in. I mean, the Epstein thing is, is a deal breaker for so many. There's many people who see through the Epstein bullshit. Anyways, and a lot of those people gravitated to the flat earth, and those same people who got gravitated to the flat earth gravitated to Trump and became MAGA people, and then also became QAnon. So it's, and they're not getting it, right? And they're difficult to deal with. I mean, all of us who've had issues with them, they were just, they're stubborn and really, most of them have double-digit IQs, right? Or whatever, in terms of their capacity to understand things. And obliviousness, right? You have to have a level, like a Don Lemon level of, not being self-aware. Where you're talking about somebody else and you're really talking about yourself, right? You don't see the irony in what you're saying. You're exactly like the person you're talking about. Because people always hate what they don't, what they hate in themselves, right? The hatred's inside. They see themselves in other people and they hate it. It's reflecting back to them. And the people who can't see that it's them, that they're looking in the fucking mirror, right? Because all of us experience that. And then you have to go, all right, why didn't I change what's wrong with me, right? Why don't I change the thing that I can change, which is what's ever inside me that's making me look at these other people and I see a part of myself in them and hate them, right? That's, I mean, people just don't have that ability, and it should be a fairly easy ability because you don't have to be smart to do that, right? You just have to be aware. IQ and intelligence and various levels of, brain function is about your ability to remember things, your ability to process things, how quickly you process things, how how you're able to retain information, things like that, right? So, intelligence is, it's like having a good computer, but if you don't have a good heart and you don't have a connection with divinity, you're out of the flow of life. Then you're just like this robot, right? You're like some, AI piece of shit. Like you just, you have processing power, but you don't have any, intuition, any empathy, any, wisdom, or these type of things. So, I mean, there's people who aren't necessarily the most intelligent people, but they can observe things and they can see things in other people, even people who are smarter than them, right? They can see through Donald Trump. They might not be as smart as Trump, but they can see through his bullshit. And, but it takes people a lot to admit that they're full of shit, right? And that's what this is all about, So, like, all of us are because we grew up in this system. Like, most of the stuff that you've been put inside of you is shit. It's crap. It's bad. It's lies. It's deception. Your indoctrination from your religion to your school, to your government, to your social system, and especially now with these kids growing up in the internet, like most of the stuff is just worthless. Like there's worthless information. I have a good memory. I mean, it's not as good as it was when I was younger, but it's there. Like I can recall things that you guys probably can see, things, obscure things that I have, there to, and a lot of it is worthless, right? Like, what am I going to do with all this information I have about Erika Kirk, like, or Candace Owens, or, Donald Trump, or it has no value. Like, for me, it's here for my job here, mocking them and talking about the collapse of the system and, maybe telling people what happened, but, in a post-apocalyptic situation, we're sitting by some campfire, like a world, and I'm talking to a bunch of youngsters. Let me tell you about this woman named Erika J. Kirk and Donald J. Trump. Who gives a shit? Like, I mean, most of the stuff has no value. Like, all the movies you see, all the stuff that you see, how many things have some kind of, are going to play some important role in your life. It's just useless information. A lot of it's retained and brought into your next existence, depending on your impressions, so it's like something you have to let go of. And people can't do that. They're just, people want to belong to some group, and there's these shitty groups in the, alternative media community, the truth community, and, they're like mental prisons, the flat earthers, the QBs, and all these other things. Anyways, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.